to I guess spin off that one. So Canada is an awesome marketplace. It's performing very well for us. And kind of to circle back to the point of that long spiel was Kevin, in your opinion. So we had on the podcast previously Tyler Jeffcoat, and we really dug
Good guy.
deep into like profitability and then what the next 12 to 18 months is going to look like for e-commerce sellers as the economy's kind of cooling. Amazon FBA fees are increasing, the margins are decreasing, and so as the e-commerce sellers are looking to reinvest or invest into their businesses, new products is one, like David mentioned earlier, expanding into international marketplaces. And so in your opinion, like like expanding internationally, have you seen it from a lot of your clients, like coming back and saying, hey, this is really helped our business? Or would you recommend putting money into new product launches? What's your opinion on that?
Yeah. So, great question. And generally, most people that go international, they say they were pleasantly surprised with Canada, and either Canada or the UK are their top one. And I generally, if you're going to go into mainland Europe, and it was kind of along the lines of your question, but hopefully this is helpful here, is don't do everything. There's a lot of people, many of whom I even truly respect, that will say, you want to register everywhere. I'm like, you can always register more later, and you can make it more complicated in Europe, but start simple and make it more complicated as the business dictates, not because, you got a free year from Amazon or something like that, because there's going to be more work than you realize. But going into next year, I've kind of bet the farm on this. And so like, it looks like if people watching on video, it looks like I'm in my bedroom, but I'm actually in my office. And so, and right over there is the door to the warehouse. And I have, invested in ways of kind of managing more of the process. And so I've got, machinery that I've purchased to do some of the process that would have been done by a factory, so I can better manage my inventory. Because I started noticing the way I was packaging some things, the fulfillment fees were going up. So I ended up buying a shrink wrap machine. So hopefully that's not tested yet, but it still also opens the door to test out other products. And I think a lot of people are going to have to start looking at is more long tail products, and not just going after, sexy products that sell, whatever home run product is for some people. That they might have to start looking into a wider catalog than, having just, 2 or 3 products, the dream that people have. They're going to sit on a lap, with a laptop on the beach. I think that's harder than it sounds. Is that I think you got to find ways to launch new products, and sometimes it might be a little unorthodox, I guess maybe is the way I'm looking at it. And one example I'll give that I have in front of me is there's 2 signs on my desk, and they're ones I bought at Disney World on vacation, but basically they're the same sign holder, basically, with just a different message inside of it. And so if you think kind of along those lines of like, okay, I can buy the signs and then I can just keep testing out new messages. I don't sell signs, but that's kind of, an example of, I think, things people could be doing differently. Or, I have this Tumblr that says best dad ever because, my kids have told me that I am. It's that if you have, ways of testing messages on whether it be a Tumblr or something like that, I think that could be beneficial for a lot of people. Is that they got to start looking at new ways to test out products, maybe that are different than how they've done it before. That's my 2 cents.
Would you ever pay a Chinese supplier? And I know you would be switching currencies once. You get paid in Canadian dollars, and then and instead of converting that to US dollars and then over to the Chinese currency. I don't know. What do you think about that?
So there was a time I was hearing a lot of people talk about like, oh yeah, you want to pay your supplier in RMB. I seem to find lately, and maybe it's just me with my suppliers, but they seem to really want US dollars. Like the dollar right now, as much as we talk about inflation, it's inflating worse in other countries. And so I think the dollar is like in other countries, like your suppliers, I think they want US dollars. And so I guess wouldn't hurt to ask, like if you had the ability to switch your US dollars to RMB and then see if you can get a which I think ping pong payments allows you to do that, pay your supplier in RMB, but I don't know that the benefit is necessarily there for a lot of people.
So a quick one. So if someone was looking to expand internationally and they're like, oh, wow, I don't speak, if you're going to go into Canada, I think it's, a lot of it's French, maybe English. What if you're in Germany, or what if you're in Japan? Like how does the listings go if like you don't speak the native language, you can't translate that, you can't fix your listings? How does that work?
So in Canada, you're putting English. Amazon.ca is essentially an English speaking website that they can click a button to say they want it in Canadian, but it's no different than it's one in Canadian, they want it in French, excuse me. Which you could do, I think you could do that on Amazon.com too. Like you can say what language you want it to, and that is 100% machine translation. So that's no different than like you could go on pretty much any website and say you want it in German or whatever, and it's just going to translate it for you. If you go to a German website, you could have it, Chrome translate it. It's the same kind of thing. So the folks in Quebec